Morning, Neil, Sean here, and as ever, lovely to have your company. And also, well, let's see how many of these stories that we remember that happened in history on this day. I have to say, some of you are doing incredibly well with your memories, a lot better than I'm doing, let me tell you. When I look at things, I think, really, was it this period? Was it that year? You know, the sort of thing. Cast your minds back to 1948. Oh, go on, you can. And one of my all-time favourite shows, simply because it ran for decades, was none other than Candid Camera. And of course it was put together by Alan Font. Now, Joan Rivers, who I got to know pretty well in later life, she told me how she first worked on Candid Camera, and she said it was pretty ruthless because whatever stunt you came up with, they said, oh, we've done that, or we've tried that, or whatever, you know. This, of course, was a bit of a precursor to many of those big shows that we all love. And when you think about it, if you look back at some of this sort of footage that you can find on YouTube, people were genuinely shocked. I'm not sure you get away with that sort of thing today, do you? Because I think people will be frightened of all sorts of lawsuits and stuff like that. But for a while, Candid Camera reigned supreme. Let's also remember way back in 1897, on this day, the brilliant American actor and singer Jack Haley. He, of course, went to fame in The Wizard of Oz. And also another lady who's, well, sadly clearly forgotten nowadays, but in her heyday wasn't in fact a megastar. Norma Shearer was born on this day in 1902, and the Canadian-American actress left us in 1983. Also, one of my all-time favourite stars was born on this day, Eddie Fisher. Now, Eddie Fisher, of course, was an American singer, had his own show on American television, a big rival for Frank Sinatra in the day. I met him a few times when he came over here to London. A very fascinating guy, colourful life, possibly best known really for being the husband of the American film actress Elizabeth Taylor. Sadly, we lost him in 2010. Now, in 1793, an attraction opened in Paris that later became the most visited museum in the world. What are we talking about? The Louvre, of course. It's still one of the biggest attractions in the world today. I think it's lovely when you go in and all that sort of stuff, but the bottom line is, in this digital age, you would imagine the young people would want to see a little bit more than that. But the Louvre remains one of the most visited museums in the world. Now, in 1942, the beautiful American actress Hedy Lamarr and the composer George Anthony received a patent for an electronic device that minimized the jamming of radio signals. It later became a component of satellite and cellular phone technology. Basically, Hedy and George invented the mobile phone, so proving she wasn't just beauty, she had brains too. And way back in 1964, the Beatles' first feature film, A Hard Day's Night, had its US premiere in New York City, and this was released at the very height of Beatlemania. Now, Paul McCartney told me they've sort of saw it as a long form, what we would describe today as a pop video. While today, apparently now, it's revered as a classic. If you haven't seen A Hard Day's Night, go back and have a look, because it really does take you back in time when the world seemed a simpler place. Now, if I said the statement, it's the movies that got small, would you know what I'm talking about? Because on this day in 1950, none other than the brilliant Billy Wilder movie, Sunset Boulevard, opened. Not everybody was happy about it though in Hollywood, particularly the MGM boss Louis B. Mayer, who stormed out the premiere saying that they were taking the facade of Hollywood away and people would be appalled. Of course, it went on to be a major classic movie, and Gloria Swanson simply made the part of Norma Desmond her home. In fact, if you say someone's doing a Norma now in theatrical circles, people think that you're being a bit of a diva. And let's not forget the stunning performance also of the very brilliant William Holden. How many stories do you remember from the selection today in this particular period? I'll be testing you. Neil, Sean, in the very heart of London.